Welcome to the 1,000 Feet Deep podcast, where we get real about leadership, team, and culture. We don't just talk about success, we talk about the foundations that carry it. So whether you're leading people, building a business, or growing yourself, take a deep breath, dig deep, and let's get started. Anthony Kirby from the Build Mentor.
Dan Urquhart.
How are you, mate?
It's so nice to actually be here. And You've done a great job on the office, by the way. I love it.
Thank you, mate.
It's made me cast a wider vision for myself as well.
Right.
It's been great.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good to hear. We tried to set it up right from the beginning so that when things grow, we're sort of not scrambling. We're ready to go.
You've done a great job. And for anyone who hasn't been here, get yourself down to a workshop when Dan's doing one. They're really good, and the place is really nice. Got a lovely energy, and obviously a great team here as well.
Yeah, thanks.
So I think you've done a fantastic job, mate. Well done. To
Legend.
You and Nat.
Cheers. And mate, speaking of workshops, so we did one. What was it? What is
Wednesday?
Wednesday afternoon.
We did a workshop. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
I felt like there was lots of great takeaways, but one thing, interestingly, which was sort of from the workshop, but more so just observing you and your team function over the last couple of days, that has been great for me and for Mark, is I really love your non-negotiables. You've got really clear standards for everyone in the business, and it doesn't feel like, it could come across harsh to say that. It could come across like it's a dictatorship, but it's not. There's a lot of respect in the business. But also, both mornings that I've been here, bang on 9 o'clock, both mornings, you've been standing up, all right, let's huddle. Yeah. You're holding the line on those standards, on those non-negotiables. And I literally sat, this morning we joined your huddle because I want to observe it. And, I've got a page of notes just from just things that are going on in this environment where you're creating an environment of success and growth, but it feels really solid as well. Good. It doesn't feel like everyone's just running really quick. Yeah. It feels nice and stable, and it's really nice to be around. So it's been really great for Mark and I to be part of the last couple of days. And I think for anyone sort of watching or listening to this as well, there's some really easy things that can happen in a business to make a business better. That's been my big takeaway.
Good thought.
Outside of everything else we did for the workshop. Yeah,
well, maybe we can talk about non-negotiables a little. Because it is super important for an organisation to be able to do that. So non-negotiables, all right, let's start there. So we would say it like this. We say, if you don't have non-negotiables, everything becomes flexible. Yeah. And so, and you'll know your non-negotiables because us leaders have been around long enough to know what we love, what we want to see every day, and what we hate, what we never want to see again. And so really your non-negotiables are just that. They're what you want to see every day, what you never want to see again.
It's interesting as well when we talked about this a little earlier around the table with the team, and I brought up this concept of, geez, I'm really impressed with the non-negotiables. And when you do think about it, as you mentioned, there are things that you know to be non-negotiable, but you might have forgotten. Yeah. So for us, I used to always have a weekly meeting with Mark and I, and that was really important to our rhythm and to our results, and we achieved much better results when we were having those meetings. Yeah. And only through the osmosis of observation did I recognize this morning that actually, we've been a bit slack on that, and we've been a bit slack on our morning huddles. Yeah. And this is all stuff that we're talking about with our clients, as you are. Yeah. But we weren't living it, and I think that's also another big learning. You have to live leadership. Yeah. It's not a book. It's not what's written on a piece of paper. It's how you act. And it's been a really good reminder for me, and probably for everyone who came to that workshop on Wednesday, that it's how we show up in the moments rather than what we talk about.
Yeah, mate, it's so important because, see, leadership, the foundation of, we're going to talk about the foundation of leadership in a second, but one of the fundamentals, if you will, is credibility. And so as leaders, unfortunately and fortunately, when we say we want to do something, or say we're going to do something, and then we don't do it, it erodes our credibility as leaders. And you don't know when you're going to need that credibility. Like you need it every day, don't get me wrong, but there are times and decisions and seasons in your business or in what you lead where you need credibility. You need your people to be able to trust you, to to be able to take you at your word and work hard for, the goals of the organisation. But it's built on, credibility. And so your non-negotiables kind of locks that away. And you can always change your mind. Things can shift. Like, for instance, there's been times where we haven't had the huddle, and so the non-negotiable is that if I'm not here, they have a huddle anyway.
Yeah,
it's just a silly example. But let's just say that I was a leader that said, all right, these are our non-negotiable meetings. We have a huddle in the morning. We have our department meetings on a Monday at 10 o'clock. We have our leadership meeting, which is at what we would call a Thrive meeting.
Yep.
Wednesday at 8:45, and we have our all-staff meeting, which is culture and direction, once a month, and everybody's got to be there. And here are the times. And then you don't turn up, or, it doesn't happen this day or that week because you're busy.
Yeah.
All of a sudden what happens is you've got no stability in your organisation. So what seems very small, like letting a meeting slide or not having it, or such and such didn't turn up, oh, that's all right, ends up actually being undermining for the structure of your organisation and the credibility of a leader.
Yeah, interesting as well, Dan. I think sometimes when you let those little bits slide, what you're actually doing is creating that environment for every part of your business.
You are, mate.
And it's the small things that is, as they say, small hinges swing big doors.
Yeah, good.
It's the 1%ers, and I look at the effectiveness of, for example, Mark and I, when we've had one of our weekly meetings, and then we have a morning huddle where we say, hey, what are your priorities?
Yeah.
What's stopping you? What's going to come up for you today? You've got to go and do the school run for the kids.
Yeah.
That's going to impact your rhythm. And to be aware of that, is critical.
Yeah.
So it's been a fantastic reminder for me, and I think for anyone who's tuning in, just sit down for 10 minutes with a bit of paper and just go, what should be our non-negotiables in the business?
Yeah.
I think we wrote down a whole page of them before, just really quickly with not much thought behind it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that'll be the conversation for Mark and I on the plane this afternoon as well when we head back up to Brizzy.
Yeah, well, that's interesting because when you started talking about your non-negotiables, we left it at that. And then as we were talking for the next 10 or 20 minutes, you were like, oh, that's a non-negotiable.
Yeah, that's a non-negotiable.
Oh, that's got to be a non-negotiable. And so the idea would be you don't want, and that's the idea, because it's already in you. You already know. You already know what you want to see every day and what you never want to see again.
Yeah.
But the golden rule, I guess, would be you don't want 1,000 of them. It's like, well, let's talk about it. Mission, vision, core values. Who you are, where you're going, and how you're going to get there. Non-negotiable. The fact that everybody would know in your organisation, that everybody would know your mission, vision, and core values. There's no use being stuck on a wall somewhere to try to impress the client. Mission, vision, and core values are meant to leach out of the pores of your people. It's for them to carry and execute, so they need to know it. And so the non-negotiables would be to have them, but also that your team know them, and that somehow you're measuring that. So one of the other non-negotiables, let's talk about the fundamentals or foundations of leadership. Let's talk about that for a second. I would say that and it's not that there's not more, but this is what I would say the basic role of a leader is to set the expectation, to empower the outcome, to measure the result, and to hold people accountable. And this is a big mistake that, getting back to credibility and the thought of leadership, what a lot of leaders want to do is they want to jump straight from set the expectation, if they've even done that well, straight to accountability. You see, because accountability is inevitable, because you are going to come up against, essentially, it's like performance or behaviour standards that have slipped or something's not happened. You're going to be faced, whether you find out the hard way or not, with somebody's failing, mistake, issue, problem. That's just part of team. And so accountability is inevitable, but when you don't make a part of a process, you do find out the hard way. What's not inevitable is that you have set the expectation. What's not inevitable is that you have empowered the outcome. So you've empowered your people. Give me
an example of this, Dan, to sort of help it land for my small brain. Let's say, for example, that you have set an expectation of the morning huddle being done when you're not here. You're off traveling, you're speaking at a workshop, presenting. That's the expectation. Talk to me about the empower piece.
Yeah, good. So, and part of empowerment will be what we've said. So you're empowering, like there's lots of different examples we'd use, but just on the huddle, you're empowering the standard by being in them yourself when you are there. You're empowering the fact that it's a standard by being there on time. Mm-hmm. You're empowering it by following an agenda and not making it boring or not getting to the point quick enough. See, what a huddle is, again, just as an example, a huddle is a quick catch-up in the morning just to understand what's coming up for the day and what potential roadblocks are going to get in the way of the team. Mm-hmm. And so everybody knows where they're up to, everyone knows what their big rock is, everybody knows if there's a roadblock and if anybody needs any help.
Yeah.
And you quickly go around, it might be 2 minutes per person. So that's quick. So you're empowering the standard by making sure that you have a standard in the first place. Mm-hmm. This is what a huddle is. This is what time we do it. This is who's involved. This is what we're trying to achieve. And then you stick to it.
Yep.
And then part of empowerment is making sure that, again, that you do stick to it. Measuring the results. So let's drop back for a second. We'd say that the foundational leadership is set the expectation, empower the outcome, measure the result, and hold people accountable. Mm-hmm. So just again on this thought, so you set the expectation, you're empowering the outcome, which we just explained, measuring the results. How do I know if they've done it or not, if I'm not here? Well, you ask. Find a way of measuring results. So if you ever set a standard, and we can talk about what that means holistically, you just go through the steps of here's my non-negotiable, here's my standard. I'm not going to expect my people to be great at this. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to expect them to get it right every time.
Yep.
So I'm going to empower them. I'm going to make sure they understand the clarity of what we're doing and why we're doing this. And so setting the expectation is one thing. Empowering the outcome, we would have a weekly leadership meeting, hand-at-heart meeting. Mm-hmm. We're empowering our people, not in just more to do, but in ways to think. Mm-hmm. And then system and process. We're empowering our people to understand the process. Whatever it is that the standard that you want, the system and process that you want, the role and responsibility that you expect, the cultural standards that you expect, what a leader needs to take on in the responsibility that a leader also needs to take on is I need to empower my people to achieve that.
Yep. Because
your people need you. You know, there's a thought out there that people that are good at things have just always been good at things. There's this really cool thing that I read the other day, Warren Buffett. If you invested $1,000 in Berkshire Hathaway when Warren Buffett first kicked the company off, you would have $55 million in your bank account.
Sobering thought, isn't it?
Unbelievable, eh?
Yeah.
I think he kicked it off back in the 60s.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Now, what do we know about Warren Buffett? Well, we know that he's an avid learner. Like, he's very disciplined around the decisions he makes. There's another comment that he's made, and I think he said in the 550 stocks that he's owned, 5 or 10 have made him most of his wealth.
That's interesting as well, isn't it? It's like the 80-20 principle.
Exactly. And so there's some dynamics that are coming out of that. So what's the thought? The thought is that he wasn't just good at what he did. He became good, you know, and he had good people in his corner. He had a really good partner. His name escapes me. What's his name?
I forget.
Yeah.
I'll
try to remember it.
Yeah.
He's only just passed away.
He has.
Yeah. But
Charlie Munger.
Charlie Munger, yeah. That's right. And so, you know what else he did, mate? He bought really good companies that he did a lot of study into, and then he chose really good people to run those companies, and he empowered them to win.
Yeah.
This is the thought. We got to set and he had high expectations. So, you know, I think his golden rule is, you know, I think, it's something like, we don't lose money. It's not exactly this, but we don't lose money.
It's pretty good, good philosophy, isn't it?
Rule number 2, we don't lose money. Rule number 3, we don't lose money. Something like that. And so what's he doing? He's setting the standard. But he's also not only empowering others, he's empowering himself. One of the things we know about Buffett is he reads every single day. He spends a massive proportion of his day reading because we're not good at stuff. Our teams aren't good at stuff.
Yeah.
They're not meant to be good at everything, for one. And the things that you want them to be good at, you need to train them to be good at it.
Yeah. I know you said something to me at dinner last night, Dan, about not being good at something or needing to learn something.
Yeah.
And I think the example you used was someone saying, "Oh, my car's broken down and I don't know how to fix it," and they're all disappointed.
Yeah.
And rather than being angry about it, the father says, "That's all right. You're not supposed to learn. You're supposed to learn how to fix a car. You're not supposed to know. You're supposed to learn." I think that's a really good analogy to apply to a business.
Yeah, it is.
Is to say, you know what, it's okay not to know the answer. Even as a leader of a business or as a member of a team in a business, it's okay not to know the answer. What's not okay is to not want to learn what the answer is if you're going to be in a business that is going to perform well. You know, it's acceptable not to understand the skill. It's not acceptable to not want to understand the skill.
So good, mate.
You know, it's such a simple distinction, and that came from my thoughts from what we talked about at dinner last night.
Well, mate, Jocko Willnick was probably he explained it in the simplest form. He was talking about his daughter. And his daughter came to him one day and said, "Dad, I think I've done. I don't think I've ever spoken about it on this podcast, but it's pretty powerful. Simple thought, but powerful." And his daughter came to him and said, "Oh, I'm dumb, Dad." We've got to understand, like, it's one thing for you and I to be talking about us and business owners. We're adults, but our children, this is why I think it's so powerful, there was a moment in her life where she thought she was dumb. Imagine what that does to the psyche of a person when they think like that, right? And the father, who's meant to be the mentor, who is the mentor, says, "Darling, why do you think that? Why do you think you're dumb?" "I don't know my times tables." And he's like, "Darling girl, you're not meant to know your times tables. You're meant to learn them." Yeah. And when we think about business, which is such an awesome story, I love the fact that he was there to mentor his daughter.
Yeah, that's
but
beautiful.
This is the thing. Business owners get into business because they're good generally at one or two things. But business is 20, 40 things.
Yeah, and all at once.
And what I've found in business is that I'm good at one or two things. I don't know that I'm good at 40. And, mate, can I just be completely honest with you and for those listening? So, we're a leadership team and culture development company. Prior to this, I owned a construction company. Mate, I've never been good at sales. I've never been good at the understanding the process of sales. I'm not necessarily inclined to be a salesperson. I don't know. I'm just not wired like that. And so I hired you to come down and help us with sales. And I'm not just saying this because we're on a podcast and you're sitting across from me. Mate, you have helped us more in 2 days in this area that I don't know anything about than I would have picked up in 3 years of doing it myself.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah. And we need it too because, we're like every business, we're a sales business.
Yeah, of course. And I think, equally though, there's lots of takeaways. Not that we need this to be the sort of slapping each other's backs podcast today, but again, I think also it's trust the experts. I would say that I'm an expert at what I do, and likewise, I would say, Dan, that I observe you as an expert in what you do. Too often, I think we muddle our way through attempting to figure it out, and we waste a lot of time and energy doing that, instead of just recognizing, you know what, I'm not good at this, and I need to learn it. And the fastest way to learn is to have someone hold your hand who's done it. And
somebody who's good at it.
Just follow this path. Like we've seen someone walk this path. It's well trodden. We know it works. We know the path leads to where we want to go.
Yeah.
We can do that, or you can carry on, messing about in the weeds over there.
Yeah.
And getting lost every time. And you're right. It's you gotta learn. Learning is huge. And even for us, I sat at the workshop that we did on Wednesday, Dan, and you presented at the first half of that workshop. I don't know how many pages of notes I took, lots. And we do this every day. We meet with people every day, and still it's not natural in all aspects. As you say, when you're juggling 40, 60, 80 tasks, I'm phenomenally good at a good portion of tasks relating to sales and marketing.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at some of the other stuff.
No.
And I think also there's another point to this, Dan. From my perspective, a lot of people spend too much time working on things they're not good at.
Yeah.
Instead of recognizing, you know what, I could get someone else, I can empower someone else to do the thing that I'm not good at, and I could then enjoy what I'm good at more by empowering someone else to do something that I'm not good at and finding someone to do that.
Mate.
Which again, I think, there's a guy that you and I both know, Matt Hope. And I think the line that he mentioned, I remember we were at a conference in New Zealand, And I was speaking at that conference, and I was sitting down with my notepad because you got to keep learning, right? And he said something like, if you can pay someone to do a job 80% as good as you can, you should do it. And I've never forgotten that line because it's like, if I can get someone to do 80% of what I can do, or to a standard that is 80% as good as what I can do it.
Yep.
And I can get someone else to do that and win back my time so that I can go and do something else that I'm good at. What a bloody good concept that is. How simple as well.
Yeah, look, it is so important. And I think the big takeaway, mate, for what we're talking about today is for those leaders and business owners out there that feel like they're dumb or feel like they're failing because they don't know something, can I just say, hey, guys, join the club.
Yeah.
You're not meant to know everything. And so why I thought that analogy was such a good one when I first heard it was that girl had no greater perspective than how she felt in the moment because she didn't know something. And I know for a fact that that's how business owners feel. We feel like we might say things like, I'm not a good business owner, I'm not a good leader. We might say things like, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at that.
Yep.
And maybe deep down we know what we are good at, but like this is the problem with leadership and business. If you're not good at those 40 other things, someone has to be. Because it's not, just because we talked about not being good at it, that's what it takes to run a business. And so to your point, if you're not good at it, that's fine, join the club.
Yeah.
But someone needs to be.
Yeah, and find that person.
You got to find that person, and that can be hard due to cash flow stuff. And look, and again, it's why business is so complex, leadership. But ultimately, somebody needs to be over all of the aspects of your business. So one of the first points of course, Curb, is to know what those points of business are.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't, you'll soon find out.
Yeah, you will. You will.
So sales is one of them.
Sales is definitely one of them. I mean, ultimately, there's two functions in a business. I forget which book this was in. It might have been Peter Drucker.
Yeah.
I forget the name of the book. But he said there's two primary functions of a business. One is sales and marketing, and the other is innovation.
Yeah, right.
And everything else is irrelevant, because if you can't sell, which comes from marketing, and you're not innovating, which is you're not producing a product or service that the market wants, what are you leading? So it's it's an interesting philosophy to look at it through that lens. And then on top of that, you get that bit right, and then you look at, right, how am I showing up in the business as a leader, and the people in my business, how are they showing up? That's where it gets fun. And I know in another episode, Dan, that we'll record, before I jump on the plane, we're going to have a chat about your high performance plan, your performance plan that you've been talking about for the last couple of days, because I love that. That framework, that really simple 3-step framework. I think is going to be game changing for a lot of people who listen to the show as well. Might not have heard it before.
Yeah, well, that's good, mate, because it's that snapshot of what business is.
That's right.
So if we're going to be good at things, we need to know what it is that we need to set, empower, measure, and hold. And it's just like a loop. What am I setting? What am I empowering? What am I measuring? What am I holding to? And then if we ever think about what a foundation of an organisation is, we would say that it's capacity-driven leadership, system and process, role and responsibility, and cultural health. So we're going, okay, well, what's a leader's job? A leader's job is to ensure that he's building capacity into the organisation, systems and processes. The roles and responsibilities are clear, and the cultural health is is heading in the right direction.
In the right direction, yeah.
And you know what? If it's not like there aren't, like, where's sales in that? You might say, well, system and process, role and responsibility.
Yeah, they're all sales. It's functions, isn't it?
So it's like everything comes into those categories, but it's broad, and it's meant to be broad, because as a leader, we've got to break things down, but we've got to understand, okay, what are the non-negotiables? What are the foundations? Just as my old builder's mindset, you can have two perfectly amazing homes built side by side. There's an old Bible analogy, and it says that these two homes were, same, looked the same, awesome, great. One was built on sand and one was built on the rock. Look great until the storm hits. And then one comes crashing down, and the one on the rock stands. Now, it's such a good analogy. It's an analogy biblically about people's lives. But when we think about it from a business point of view, or a leadership point of view, we have to know what we're building our organisation on, what we're building our leadership on, what we're building our people on. That way you can set, empower, measure, hold. What's our standard? What's our non-negotiable?
Yeah.
What do we need to empower? What do we need to be sure is happening and it'll turn up? How are we finding out how we're tracking?
Yeah.
Or are we going to find out the hard way? Because that's the only other alternative. Yeah. And then are we holding everybody, including ourselves, to the standard? You know, that's accountability. So, it's an interesting thought, but we like to simplify it, don't we? I know that's what you helped us with.
You know,
for
that's what I loved about what we've done over the last couple of days, and certainly what you discussed on Wednesday is just having a simple framework to know that yes, we're going in the right direction, or no, we're not, and something needs to have some attention. And I think, for me today, Dan, the non-negotiables were that. Yeah. So thanks for sharing that lesson. I think it's useful for me, certainly, hopefully useful for everyone who's tuned in for this quick episode as well.
So, bro, we're going to finish up.
We are.
What are your three, let's call it three,
yep.
3 non-negotiables as you fly away today?
My non-negotiables is for Mark and I to catch up every morning as per the daily huddle, which again, I used to do this and just forgotten, slipped the standards. The weekly review meeting, which is super important, and then the 6-week cycles as well, just making sure that we get that right.
6 weeks
and implement that. So we've just got good rhythm in the business. I think that's really important for any business, because everything else from there kind of spills out as, well, actually we need to learn that.
Yeah.
Or we need to get tighter on that, or we need to employ someone to do that.
Yeah, that's right.
So we've got a lot of work ahead of us. It's going to be good.
Hey, we've got 1 minute left. Explain the 6-week cycle.
6-week cycle. So most people plan in 1 year or 90-day blocks.
Yep.
I learned this from Taki Moore, so shout out to Taki Moore if he's listening. Basically split your year into 6-week cycles. So you go 6 weeks, and then for us, we've tweaked it slightly where we go at the end of that 6 weeks, where you've chosen 1 or 2 or 3 things to improve in your business. Then you go, let's have a review meeting at the end of that and see how we fared.
Yep.
And then after that review meeting, the following week, you say, right, what's next? What's in the next 6 weeks? And for us, for Mark and I know we taught this to you and your team as well, we split that into 4 things, which is sales, marketing, operations, and rewards.
Great.
So it's what are we going to do in the next 6 weeks to move sales in the right direction? What are we going to do in the next 6 weeks to move our marketing in the right direction, which is getting attention and eyeballs, attraction? Then if we get that many sales, and when marketing does this, where's it going to break operationally? So then we have to look at operations, systems, processes. And then, of course, when we achieve this in 6 weeks, what are we going to do to have some fun?
Yeah.
What are we going to do to reward ourselves?
Celebrate the victory.
And that's really simple matrix that anyone can use. Put it in a 6-week block in your calendar.
Yeah.
Pick a couple of things, to your point, Dan, hold someone accountable to it. Set the standard, measure it. I think for us at least, that creates really good business rhythm. And I'm sure for you guys as well, that will create the same business rhythm. And for anyone who came to the workshop on Wednesday here as well.
Oh, mate, I reckon it's actually a game changer.
Yeah, it's simple.
Yeah, most people set goals, but to have a framework like that, to be able to measure, if you will, in a tight interval, so good.
Yeah, and it also means you factor in a month of the year where you can go on holiday. How good's that? As a business owner, you're still making progress, and everyone's measuring it, and you still get to go on holiday for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Great.
So good.
Take it.
All right, mate. Thank you so much for your time,
You're welcome, Dan. Good to be here, mate.
You're
and
super
we'll see
helpful.
you soon.
Good on you. Thank you, bud.
See you, mate.